A ceremony is underway in the marquee. Here, all positive influences, all that is good and holy, the deities, the spirits of the lands, rivers and mountains, are invoked and installed in the brass pitchers, while the audio technicians tweak the system for the storytelling to begin. The sacred text now borne on the head of the sponsor's father and the mountain god lead a second procession around the pavilion where the pitchers will be installed to protect and sanctify the fire offering ceremony. Before the storytelling begins, the narrator takes his place on a throne in the marquee. He silently reads the opening chapters of the Bhāgavatapurāṇa to himself, while musicians intone sacred songs in honor of the god Krishna. Again, the mountain god is lifted onto the shoulders of two men from the village and comes to life to pay its respect to the sacred text. In the village of 400 or so inhabitants, only 6 men are qualified to carry the village deity. The narrator begins his discourse from the Bhāgavatapurāṇa, accompanying Sanskrit verses from the texts with explanations in Hindi and an admixture of sacred songs in both languages. Simply by hearing these narratives, we are told, we are cleansed of our misdeeds, we are purified, and our lives will be blessed.
दक्षिण पार्श्व में बैठे हैं, वाम पार्श्व दक्षिण पार्श्व में दो ये पुरुष जो बैठे हैं ना, ये मेरे पुत्र हैं नारद जी, ये आपके पुत्र हैं। माता जवान और पुत्र बढ़ते स्वरूप, ये क्या बात है?
Towards the end of the first session, the wild sound of the mountain deities' drums, the melodic rhythms of the musicians in the style of the northern Indian plains, and the senior Brahmins' Vedic chanting all meld together to form a single unified whole. In the minds of these people, these are not three different traditions, but are all one. A young Brahmin honours the texts with offerings of light, incense and sandal paste, while the mountain god presides. Finally, the sponsor, his wife, and other members of the audience offer lights to the throne. Petals are thrown, the faithful perform a circumambulation, and the first storytelling session draws to a close. The next 5 mornings dawned clear and cold. The senior Brahmins' chanting filled the garden and indicated that the fire offering ceremony was already underway in the pavilion. Every morning for the week, the sponsor and his wife, led by chanting Brahmins, offered sacred substances into the central fire to ensure the liberation of his ancestors' souls. After the fire ceremony each morning, the throbbing drum was ever present like the heartbeat of the deity that seemed to remind us that the mountain god was there, presiding over everything. Then one day, there were not one but 2 deities in the garden. The mountain god's younger brother had joined us. 25 years ago, people in a neighbouring village had built their own palanquin, and the mountain god Kaṇḍār had given it life. Now, the younger brother deity Kumalti salutes the musicians, The drummers and the horn player belong to the Harijan community, once known as untouchables. There are no longer any suitable musicians in Kumalti's village. Perhaps this is why he pays such attention to his brother's two drummers. Here the two brother deities, Kumalti on the left and Kaṇḍār on the right, greet one another with a series of deep and, one might imagine, affectionate bows. The palanquins are empty wooden structures. The village men say that they are merely responding to the movements caused by the deities. Another petitioner questions the mountain god. The deity's opinion is sought on all the affairs of the community, large and small, from the health of livestock to the planning of a wedding or a funeral. One petitioner asked, "How may I promote the welfare of my family?" The deity gave the answer, "Cause the name of the planet Saturn to be repeated 18,000 times over 5 days.